Good evening, everyone. I am Avantika Malik, and I welcome you all to a webinar on how to meet FDA cybersecurity standards for medical devices. We appreciate you joining us as we explore how to secure healthcare devices and meet FDA compliances in today's rapidly changing cybersecurity landscape. Today, we are joined by two experts. First, welcome our speaker, Mr. Pavitra Kumar Sahu, the co-founder and CEO of Qualysec. He has over 7 years of experience in cybersecurity, specifically in penetration testing. He specializes in penetration testing and application security and holding in-depth knowledge of cybersecurity and threat landscape. He has led Qualysec in delivering customized security services across various industries. Today, he joins us to share his insights on securing healthcare devices to meet FDA standards. We are also
Thanks.
pleased to
Thanks,
welcome
Avantika.
our guest, We are also pleased to welcome our guest, Mr. Rakesh Lal, a seasoned expert in medical device development and regulatory submission. With 20 plus years of experience spanning Fortune 500 companies and startups, Rakesh specializes in digital health, wearable technology, software, and AI. His expertise includes product development and regulatory strategy development for medical devices, FDA submissions, cybersecurity considerations in medical devices. Holding degrees in computer science, biomedical engineering, and an MBA, he offers a unique blend of technical and business acumen and is the founder of RX Device Consulting, a firm specializing in product development and obtaining regulatory authorization for medical devices. Today, he has joined this webinar to share his insight on how to accomplish complex FDA regulations. So we are excited to have both Pavitra sir and Rakesh sir with us, and we look forward to an engaging and informative session. So without further ado, Pavitra sir, over to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Avantika, for the sweet introduction. So before it's a very technical introduction. So Rakesh is our go-to person when we have any client come to us for the FDA related topic. So we Rakesh also Rakesh and his company RX Device is helping us. So he's one of our partners. So welcome Rakesh to this webinar. Hope
Thank
you
you.
have a
Thank you.
great days.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thanks.
Pavitra. Thank you, Avantika, for the kind introductions.
Yeah, thanks for your you take your time for this webinar. Okay, so as today's topic is regarding to all about FDA. So let's start. Let's start with what is this FDA and what is its history, and
Yes,
from
yes,
there we will going
absolutely.
to start the webinar.
Yes, great. Yeah. So first of all, thank you to Qualysec for hosting this webinar. Very happy to be here. Pavitra, to your question, FDA stands for the Food and Drug Administration, right? It's a key regulatory agency of the U.S. federal government, and it regulates the sale of food and pharmaceutical devices, products and devices in the U.S. So it's responsible for ensuring safety and effectiveness of drugs, biologics, medical devices, and cosmetics through the enforcement of rigorous regulations that have been developed over time, and also ensuring compliance to various internationally recognized medical device standards.
Okay, excellent. So Rakesh, so we'll do this webinar in a format of question and answer. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a few questions that you usually hear from our client or our prospect, and we love to hear some words from you. So
Yes.
starting with a basic question, why do this medical device need FDA 510K compliance?
Yes, yeah. So, good question. I think, so just fundamentally, in order to market a medical device in the United States, authorization from FDA is required. It's mandatory. So if it is a medical device, you need to have some form of FDA authorization to market that device in the US. So depending on the nature of the device, the 510K pathway may be the appropriate pathway to obtain the regulatory authorization. But other devices can follow different pathways. This is not the only way. This is one of the ways, and it applies to certain kinds of devices. And compliance with the requirements is essential for manufacturers to be able to demonstrate safety and effectiveness of their product both to FDA to obtain the regulatory authorizations, but also to the consumers, to patients and physicians, to give them confidence that the devices don't pose unreasonable risks to patients. But specifically to your question, though, ultimately, receiving a 510(k) clearance is a required and mandatory step before a company can market and distribute their product in the US.
Okay. In short, if we tell that, okay, like it's a pre-market compliance that we have to achieve before we market our product in USA. Am I right?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, okay. And I believe this is nowadays very booming, and like FDA has mandated it, and in past 2 3 years we didn't like listen from our client that okay, this kind of compliance they need a cybersecurity service, but nowadays they need, okay, we need it mandatory. Pavitra, you have to like help us in achieving this FDA. Okay.
Yes,
Anyway,
yes.
can you please elaborate how if someone having a, let's assume if someone having a medical device and they are applying for the FDA 510(k), so then what will the process? What is the process for applying it, and what are the
Yeah.
step involving it?
Yes, absolutely. So the process involves preparing a comprehensive and thorough submission describing your medical device so that the FDA can review it. And it includes, among other things, the description of the device, the nature of the device, the risk classification of the device, various forms of testing data you may supply, performance testing, human factors testing, possibly clinical testing, and also the labeling and user materials that are supplied with the device, the user instructions, the device labels, and so forth. FDA, in a 510(k) application, FDA reviews the submission and compares the characteristics of your device against a legally marketed predicate device. So this is another device that has previously been cleared by the FDA, and you are basically claiming in your submission that our device is very similar to this one, to the predicate device. There are no unknown risks, unknown hazards that this device can pose to the patient. So it's very similar to that one. So use that as a guide to kind of process this submission is what you would essentially be telling FDA. And FDA will grant the clearance if they determine that your device is substantially equivalent to the predicate device. Now, of course, the actual steps in the process are much more complex and much more involved. So, I would definitely recommend to anyone, any company, to work with a regulatory professional to kind of guide you through the process, right? This is
Like
something we do
your company.
routinely exactly. We do this routinely at RX Device Consulting.
Okay, exactly. So, like during the process, like it is a very hectic process to achieve a
Yes.
FDA. Like I also hear like lot of client actually they got rejected by FDA and then come to us. So it is a best practices
Yes.
to have a consulting company like RX device and you, right?
Yes.
So it will
Yes.
better for them. It will be very easy because you handhold everything those process and you help them to achieve the compliance.
Exactly. And we've done multiple 510(k) submissions, de novo submissions, and so forth. So definitely we have tons of experience, and our core focus is really on wearable technology, IoT devices, AI devices, and these kinds of things. Things that involve software, and of course with software comes cybersecurity requirements, which is why I'm very excited about the partnership that we have ongoing.
Exactly. I am like likewise. I am also very excited because it is a very win-win situation or win-win scenario for both of us.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so coming to my next question, nowadays FDA introduced okay the cybersecurity requirement. Can you please elaborate that what are these cybersecurity requirement to achieve these
Yes.
FDA compliances?
Yes. So cybersecurity is a growing concern for medical devices and FDA these days. These days, pretty much all
A
medical
lot of
devices, or
threats.
a lot of them, have software, have cybersecurity issues that need to be managed, right? So FDA requires device manufacturers of devices that have software and that are at risk for cybersecurity threats, to address these cybersecurity risks and implement the appropriate controls and provide the documentation demonstrating that you have these controls in place. So this includes, thorough, comprehensive threat modeling and identification of vulnerabilities and threats, development of risk assessments and implementation of all of the, strong access controls and other cybersecurity mitigations and controls, and also performing comprehensive security testing, which likely would include pen testing, and also having a robust response plan for any incidents that might occur. Right, more and more I'm seeing with FDA. They're expecting manufacturers not just to address cybersecurity risk at the one point where you're doing the submission to FDA, but they're expecting you now to have a comprehensive plan in place to monitor and manage your cybersecurity risks on an ongoing basis, not just at the one time point.
Okay, okay, understood, understood. So those things like in cybersecurity, they just not they don't need a one particular document or two particular document, right? Because they
Right.
have a very set of document they need. So can you please
Yes.
elaborate like what is the cybersecurity documents that is needed by FDA? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
during our submission process, like what are those cybersecurity documents? Because what I feel like this is a very essential things to discuss because like most of the client that we have regarding the FDA complaints, so they are actually not sure about okay what are the document that whether Qualysec or RX device will going to provide the FDA, and there is also very little visibility by the FDA also, like it is not having proper demonstration that okay this particular document is needed. So can you please elaborate
Yes.
that okay what is this document set of documents needed for this FDA guidelines?
Yes, yes, definitely. And FDA has a guidance document that get really describes or tells you what specific documents are required in a 510(k) submission. But to your point, they describe it. The guidance documents describes it at a very high level, and
Exactly.
you really need to have someone who has experience doing this and preparing these kinds of documents to make sure you get it right the first time. So FDA will expect in 510(k) submission, they'll expect a full risk management report that details threat modeling assessments and vulnerability identifications. They'll require you to evaluate and monitor various databases that describe all the threats, including NIST and so forth. They will expect that you have a software bill of materials that is fully defined, that describes and explains all of the software components and various information about the various bits of information about those. They'll want a full risk management report, which would include, likely include pen testing. If vulnerabilities are detected during the pen testing, they would expect, retesting, mitigation of those vulnerabilities and retesting and potentially a letter of attestation from a third party. More and more, I'm seeing that FDA is asking for independence of the team that's doing the pen testing from the development team. So it's very helpful to have a firm like Qualysec, who's objective and independent from the development of the medical device, doing some of this pen testing. In addition to that, they would expect things like a list of any open bugs or open anomalies and an assessment of those against what is the impact of these regarding safety and effectiveness. They'd expect a detailed architecture of your software system, including security views and single patient and multi-patient harm views. They'd expect a list of all your cybersecurity controls and whatever metrics you're monitoring over time. And as I mentioned earlier, they would expect kind of an ongoing basis. What is your cybersecurity management plan? How are you going to continue this on an ongoing basis?
Okay, okay. So there are a lot of documents that they have to provide, and that's where Qualys jumps off. Like, okay, we do this kind of stuff, and we do we can provide those kind of services, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
we help them to provide those documents also. Okay, thanks for like elaborating each detail. So we'll do one thing like after our webinar, we can create the set of list so that our audience can have their
absolutely.
view.
Yes, and we
Okay.
can link the FDA guidance, cybersecurity guidance document as well.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll discuss that. Okay, why they need it and why cybersecurity is needed there. We also discuss that. Okay, what are the documents the FDA is needing, right? So right now it comes to that. Okay, like how much time it usually required, an average time frame for the entire FDA
The
application
entire.
process, like
Mhm.
from applying, like from testing to reporting to documentation prepare to processing, everything, like how much averagely it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, so the actual submission and review time. So once you submit your application, your 510(k) application to FDA, even that review time can vary depending on, the complexity of your device and the quality of the submission, really. On average, it typically takes somewhere between 3 to 6 months, perhaps leaning more towards the 6 month, probably more like 5 or 6 months, but it can actually take longer, depending on, on various factors. I think, just being proactive and meeting all the requirements upfront, particularly in areas like cybersecurity, can definitely help avoid any unnecessary delays. But overall, I think it's, 4 to 6 months and kind of in that time frame.
Okay, so whoever is needing, like, okay, I need this FDA clearance within a month, that can't be possible.
That is very, very unlikely. Occasionally, it can happen if you are submitting, if your own device is your predicate device and you've made a very, very small change to it and you're submitting that as a 510(k), maybe that can be cleared in less time. But for the vast majority, I would say 99%, it would take more than 4 months to get clearance.
Okay. So that's a like huge time. And before that also submitting, they have to prepare a lot of things just to
Yes, yes.
perform the
So,
pen test. Like if I talk about the time frame the pen test, it is like basically it will take like let's say we have a IoT device, we have to test it, we have to prepare the report, we have to submit to their technical team. They will going to fix it, retest it. So it is also a month or 2 month of work.
absolutely. Yeah. And keep in mind that, cybersecurity, albeit, it's a very important element of these submissions, it's one element. There are multiple
Exactly.
others that companies
Other
have to
different.
be aware of.
And then that will also require another different time, another
Exactly.
additional time, right? Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. So, you mentioned that okay, you have already published or you have already applied for different FDA for different clients of yours, and you already
Mhm.
approved them, like help them to approve those FDA clearance. So then, what will be the most common reason the FDA actually rejecting their submission? Is there any
Mhm.
common reason you found it in pattern that you have found that okay, these are some common reason the FDA actually
Mhm.
reject their submissions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I
So
have one.
I'm guessing it has to do with cybersecurity,
Exactly.
but I think so. The just overall the way the review process works is you submit your application to FDA, and FDA comes back to you with a list of questions and a list of deficiencies. This is what's missing in your submission, and if you fail to address any of those deficiencies in a specific period of time, I think usually it's a 6 month period of time from when they give you that list of deficiencies, your submission will be rejected. FDA will issue what's called a not substantially equivalent or NSE decision, and that basically means your submission has to be withdrawn or it's rejected. Common reasons that I've seen that this could, that this could happen, especially in cases where things have gone down to the wire, it really centers around inadequate testing, not enough testing of your product. FDA is always concerned that is this device safe and is this device going to work as you are claiming it's going to work? So you have to really validate and prove that to them. And cybersecurity is a part of that, absolutely. If you fail to address all of the cybersecurity risks, and sometimes FDA is coming back to you with, have you considered these cybersecurity risks? And you have to prove to them that you have considered them, you have mitigations in place for all of those, and you've validated that your mitigations both are in place and that they're effective at truly mitigating the vulnerability. So, cybersecurity definitely certainly can lead to delays if it's not properly managed. And if it's not addressed in the time frame that FDA takes to review, that can lead to an NSC decision.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. You have also added this point that inadequate testing, right? So this is the exact point. We help more than 10 clients of ours that to achieve the FDA. So the most common reason what I see, like during our discussion, during our information gathering, our discovery call, we see that okay, they just provide a scanning report to them, and FDA mentioned that okay, whether you touch those cyber security controls or not, and then they comes to know that okay, we have to do a very comprehensive testing rather than just a scan using any tool.
Yes, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
okay, okay, so okay, then okay, we comes to know that okay, why it is needed, how we are going to do it, and there are piles of document that need to prepare, and FDA also have different reason they can reject us. Then in this case, I believe there is a third party consulting company like yourself, like your company or Qualysec is a very fruitful to have, right? Can you please elaborate why should a company who have a medical device should hire a third party like RX device or Qualysec?
Yeah, yeah. I think, my personal view on this, expert guidance can definitely save time and reduce costs
Exactly.
and improve the chances of getting clearance, right? I think, third-party consulting firms and cybersecurity firms can bring the objectivity to your submission and to ensure security and compliance. And I think if a company really wants to navigate the maze of FDA, a cybersecurity firm like Qualysec, working in tandem with regulatory experts like us at RX Device Consulting can really guide them through the approval process and make sure the device meets, modern security standards.
Great, great. To like for our audience, to give you a very highlighted, like we can help you in preparing the cybersecurity document, but FDA will only not need cybersecurity document. They will need other piles of document where RX device can help them to prepare those document and for the submission and for the future steps also. Like RX device can able to help them. Okay, so if anyone of our audience want to or if they have any, we have many audience like in from C-level audience from them, on behalf of them I'm actually talking to you, Rakesh, so that if someone having any problem, facing any issue during the FDA, or if you are facing like any documented related problems, you can reach out direct to the Rakesh. So in our webinar page, we're going to provide the Rakesh company details and his details so that you can directly reach out to them, and you are facing any security related stuff, you can reach out to us. Okay, so Rakesh ji, so just give us an idea that okay, how RX device consulting company can assist other like the
Yeah.
prospect to for this FDA compliance thing, how your team can help.
Absolutely. So we offer comprehensive services in the medical device space from product development, including hardware, software development, as well as regulatory and clinical strategy development, all the way to submission preparation and prosecution of the submission with FDA. So our experts understand the nuances of all the FDA regulations and can help really complete the technical and regulatory requirements of your device, both from the development perspective as well as from with respect to managing the regulatory submission. We've done a number of submissions end to end from, someone has come to us with an idea and we've built prototypes, we've supported various forms of testing, whether it's EMC testing, electrical safety, biocompatibility testing, to clinical testing, to cybersecurity, working with companies such as yourselves. And we've managed and submitted and successfully gotten clearance for those devices.
Okay, so how many number of clients you have help them to.
Easily, easily in above 30 to 40
Great.
clients in that range.
Mhm. Great, great, great. So, okay, so to thanks for you ask, you answer all these questions that we actually gather. What are the most common questions people have related to FDA? So we have prepared the file and we asked to you. So now
Yes,
to
thank you.
close, I will address how Qualysec can help in cybersecurity and FDA related documents. So, so first of all, we have partners like Rakesh ji, who's our go-to partner for FDA related stuff for the documentation. But for the cyber security, see, a medical device is combination of IoT device, is combination of software, It's combination like their dashboard is built in web app or a mobile app, right? They have a, cloud environment. So there is whole lot of ecosystem like IoT device, cloud, web, mobile, right? And they need to ensure that okay, these are risk free and vulnerability free, where our penetration testing expertise comes up, where we actually help, like we have capable of doing pen testing on web, mobile, cloud, as well as on IoT devices. We have a separate laboratory for our IoT devices where we perform the test on that, and we help our client to okay, find out okay, these are the issue, these are the vulnerability that we have to fix, and we also help them to like fix those issue and perform the retest. And there are all set of documents related to cybersecurity. We are able to prepare those things, and we prepare for our client. We hand over to Rakesh, and Rakesh prepare another set of documents and hand over to the FDA. This is how the whole process is working. Okay, thanks, Rakesh. I